So check this out. I just recently did a live about Fredia Gibbs. If you haven't seen that live, you can go check it out. Or you can look her up yourself. But her name is Fredia Gibbs. And she is an amazing legend, historian, historical figure in martial arts. And she's the first black woman to have over 10 foot tall bronze statue. Um, she's been a champion two, three times over. And they used to call her the strongest woman in the world. Now, one thing that's also interesting about her is she has this story about how when she first got into fighting and stuff, she was able to use her skills to evade this guy called the Grim Sleeper. His name is Lonnie Franklin Jr. He was a black man, and he was a serial killer back in the day. And he deleted over 25 women. No, over 100 women over the course of 25 years. And this story is really crazy because, like Michael say, they don't really care about us. So let's get into this story, y'all. Let's get into it. It's so crazy. It's so insane. Now, this man had a family. He had a wife. He had children. He had grandchildren. Everybody in the neighborhood knew him. He was the guy who could get you anything. And he had this van, and he was going around, and he was picking up mostly hookers, but he would take women, and he had this 25 pistol, and he would take pictures of them. He kept pictures. He showed people the pictures, and he would pow them in the chest and dump them out his van, or he would put them in a bag and take them to the landfill because he worked for the trash company. It's a crazy story. Black man. And his friends, I believe the police were in on it too. I'm not the only one. Like I told y'all before, they like people that will hurt and delete us. They like people that will hurt and delete us, and they will work with people and help them to continue to do that. See, because they yelling at them, telling them to get out the neighborhood and trying to say they think they boy innocent. When they know good and well, they know he was doing this. Now, the police did not tell the community that there was a serial murderer going around for years. They did not tell the community. Okay, that's another reason I believe the police was in on it. And the guys right now who talk about he ain't had nothing to do with it, they came back and started telling stories. Found out who he was. It was a lady that he took. I think she said she wasn't a prostitute at the time. He offered her a ride, and she took the ride, and he was telling her, you know, it's a couple of ladies that came forward and it said that, you know, he had picked them up and he was trying to R-word them, and they ended up getting away. But this lady, he, you know, took his 25 to her chest, let it off. She was bleeding everywhere. And I think she said she was fading out or whatever. And he got on top of her, did his thing, and then he pushed her out the car. And that's where he messed up at because she lived. So that's how they found out who he was. So he gonna go talk to the son, but he ain't gonna go talk to the man's wife. And then the girl that was just talking she was dating the son back when old boy was doing all those murders. And she used to be in the house a lot with them. And she's sitting up here talking about how dangerous old boy was. So you're gonna go talk to him, but you won't talk to the wife? Okay, okay. But y'all can hit that like button though, you know. What's up, Zach? Because she is riding around and she's asking about her dad, who is in prison for being the serial uh, murderer called the Grim Reaper. And she's asking everybody about him and doing a documentary. And they're gonna talk, and it's gonna get back to the son. And now she going to talk to the son with the white boys. And when them white boys leave, she gonna be there. Okay, I mean, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. To begin. Hey, let me ask you a question. Do you know what we talking about? Cause you ain't saying nothing about the subject matter at hand, and you ain't hit the like button. But you want to ask me a question. I'm just curious as to why, why, and why. You understand me? And why? Okay. Hit that like button, Zach. Hit that like button. And then maybe I'll answer your question. Again, we are talking about the Grim Sleeper, and his name is Lonnie Franklin Jr. And he went on a 25-year-long spree, uh, all black women, with a 25 pistol, and he assaulted sexually most of the women. He had a wife, a son, grandchildren the entire time. He had a van. He did most of his dirt in the van. He took pictures of all his women, especially after he pow-powed them. He took pictures of them naked, all kind of stuff. He kept the pictures. He had them in a shoebox. He would show them off and brag to his friends. His friends helped him. His friends helped him clean the carpet in his van. One of his friends was a professional carpet cleaner, and he would clean up the blood. He had another friend who he burnt up cars for him that was full of blood and other stuff that belonged to the victims. One of the friends went to jail with him because they were riding and Lonnie stopped and grabbed a woman and tried to kidnap her. And the police pulled up and grabbed them, took them in a cell, held them for hours, didn't talk to the friend, but took Lonnie in another place and talked to him. And then they let them go. A lot of people believe, and I do too, that the police was involved and Lonnie was working for the police doing this. And they did arrest the police officer. I don't know his name. I'm going to have to look that up because every time I see a documentary or something, they never say who the policeman was. Oh, no, they did. They said Ricky Ross. His name was Ricky Ross. It's interesting that was his name. I'm going to have to look into that. Yeah. But they let the policeman go. The police knew what this man was doing, and like I said, I believe the police had hired him to do that. They were paying him to delete all of these women. it's a shame. I mean, the police didn't even tell the community that there was a serial murderer going around here, murdering black women. They didn't tell them for 20 years. He dumped a body out right in their neighborhood in an alleyway inside of a bag. And someone called it in on 911. They described his van and they gave the license plate to his van. So not only did they not even arrest him then, they didn't tell the community about the description and license plates of the van and that this was happening. And they didn't release the 911 call. A lot of people say they believe that that was Lonnie on the 911 call. Just like his friend says, he believed that Lonnie must wanted to get caught because he was showing him things that anybody with common sense would be like, hey, I think this dude is out here murdering people. I don't think he necessarily wanted to get caught. I think he wanted the attention from it, the way he would brag to his friends. I think he wanted people to say, hey, this dude out here doing this. Wow. You know? He wanted to hear people talking about it. Make him feel good, you know? So it's just really, really sad. And Fredia Gibbs, is it Gibbs or is it Gibbs? Fredia Gibbs, who is a very, 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 very important figure in history. She's a very strong black woman. She is a mogul in the martial arts community. And she was a first before Layla, before any woman in boxing and martial arts. She did a lot, and they once dubbed her the strongest woman in the world. And we talked about her in a previous video, but I'm gonna play for y'all her telling her story. And she had an encounter with this guy, this Grim Reaper serial killer, back when he first got started with this. And he drugged her and he had her in his van because he was taking her home. And he tried to, you know, assault her and everything. And she ended up whooping his tail and getting away. And then about 10 years later, she saw him on the news. He had deleted and, you know, assaulted over 100 black women. Yeah, but that messed her up pretty bad, as it should and would. There's a couple other women that told their story too about how they got away. But one of the women, he actually shot her and he didn't make sure she was gone because he would shoot them point blank in the chest. And most of the women passed away. And he would get rid of their bodies. But this day, this day, it could be whether you do something different or it could be whether you just keep doing the same thing. And this time he did something different. You know, he pow-powed her. He took the picture, and I saw the picture. And she saw the picture as well. Zach, you can hit the like I said, and stop asking me questions. Because until you hit that like, I'm not answering. You're not even sticking to the subject. But it's a picture of her sitting in the passenger seat of his car, and she slumped over like this. And you can see the blood spilling out her chest. And he pushed her out the car, left her so she could pass away. And she got up and ran for help. And she was able to describe him enough. Now somebody's out here who is a victim who he actually harmed and who can go around and tell people, hey, this guy did this to me, he shot me, everything. So the police had to act on it. And I don't necessarily blame the women who he assaulted before and they got away for not telling. However, if they had to come forward and start telling people that they knew at least that happened to them, and people start talking, and then everybody knew who he was, then the police would have had to act on it then, because they was letting this dude do this. In my opinion, he was working for them doing this, you know. And so DNA started to become a thing, and they never took his DNA, even though he had 15 felonies. They never took his DNA because DNA was just becoming a thing, and DNA was mostly being taken for people who did crimes like murder. I'm starting to get a headache from this right here. This contusion, concussion, whatever you call it. And his son did something, and he got in the system, and they got his DNA. So they use this thing called familiar DNA, to where they can get the DNA of, you know, a relative, and they had DNA from the women. So they searched the database for familiar DNA, and they saw his son's DNA was a match. So through the son, they found the father, and that's how they locked in on Lonnie Franklin Jr. as the Grim Reaper. If y'all watched the last video I did, um, we listened to a lot of his interrogation, and it is just chilling because he didn't care. He didn't care at all. I know that's you, Zach. Hit the like. Hit the like. We're going to get back to this in a minute. Let me check my message real quick. See what's going on.
This guy said his company just sent him this and canceled his load, routing him back to the terminal. He said he don't understand. He was off duty. The truck was parked. He was not moving. So explain how they got the footage from inside of the cab. The camera is still on even when he off duty. He said he had his wife come meet him on his break for his birthday. He said this don't sit right with him at all. And this is from the dash cam, which they say supposed to be off when you off duty and not rolling.
So they watched him and his wife do the do?
Brother, you got a case. I think you do. I think you do.
You damn right
This
you got a
guy
case.
said his company
Hold on,
just
because I gotta follow this. Let me follow this dude.
sent him this and canceled his load, routing him back to the terminal.
Wow.
He said he don't understand. He was off duty. The truck was parked. He was
Well,
not moving.
see, I know this is off subject, but the thing is, you're not supposed to have people in the truck. You know what I mean? He wasn't riding her, but still, if something were to happen to her, just like if you bring somebody over your house, something happened to them, they can sue your insurance company. So anything can happen to her inside of that truck, and they will be responsible. Now, when you got this FedEx killer out here, and this guy done put a bad name on, himself. Let's start there. But I mean, he was working third party for FedEx. They looking at it like, how people can, their mind can go. So they don't want to have anything else that can, bring a bad light. I mean, you can't be responsible for what drivers do, but they hired you to be a driver. So they're going to have to take responsibility to some degree of anything that you do. So it will say him and the wife got into a fight and he hurt her or she called the police. Then that's the company going to have to deal with that too. Like, we didn't even authorize her. She ain't even supposed to be in this truck. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's something he shouldn't have done. They should have went and got it wrong. I mean, you making money, pay for it. Y'all married, wait till you get home. I don't know. Go in her car. But, as both ways, I guess it can be an issue. But I can understand why the company would Want to sit him down and have a conversation. Is he fired? Hell if I know. I want to follow up and see what happens, because that's interesting. But people should know that, it's kind of like, I'm not going to bring somebody in your house while you're not there just because you let me be in your house. So, I don't know. That's weird. So, a fellow driver just sent me that. All right, let's get back to this story. This everything she just said. Why would he not ask her what was the dad doing to the son? So what type of things? Why would he not ask her that? That I do not understand. I would ask, what sick things was he doing to the boy? Duh. How is he a good guy? He deleted over 100 women and he hurt more than that. And clearly he was doing something to allegedly, his son. What in the hell? He was a good guy. Are we serious right now? The bar is low. The bar is low. Remember, they had already had the van and the description of the van, a unique church van, a Dodge, and they had the license plates to the van. So they knew what house it was. And then, as we heard in the documentary, they had Google was doing, at that time, they was doing it where they ride around and take pictures of everywhere. So you can Google Earth it. That's been around for a long time.